understand The Weeknd's vocal evolution, we have to go back to the beginning, back to 2011, House of Balloons. Before the stadium tours, before the Grammys, before the Super Bowl halftime show, all the way back before all of that, back when nobody even knew what Abel Tesfaye looked like. The release of House of Balloons introduced the world to a completely different kind of R&B artist. Everything about the music felt shadowy and atmospheric and mysterious. His voice became the center of the atmosphere. Unlike traditional R&B artists who prioritized clarity and power, Abel leaned into emotion, texture, and mood. His vocals on Trilogy-era projects like House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echoes of Silence were drenched in reverb and loyalty effect. It sounded distant, almost ghost-like. Songs like Wicked Games and The Morning felt less like performances and more like confessions echoing through empty rooms at 3 AM. And technically speaking, his voice wasn't published yet. It wasn't polished yet. It was still in works. It was imperfect, and there was trembling falsettos, whisper heavy delivery. But weirdly, that's exactly what made it work. Abel wasn't trying to sound flawless. He was trying to make you feel isolated, intoxicated, obsessed, and numb. And the production amplified that feeling particularly and perfectly. Producers like Ilangelo and Doc McKinley built soundscapes around his voice using distortion, delay, ambient textures, and converse reverb. The vocals almost melted into the production beats, and that became part of The Weeknd's identity. His voice wasn't just singing over the instrumentals, it was trapped inside it. What's also fascinating is how his influence started shadowing through even his early releases. People immediately compared his falsetto to Michael Jackson. You can hear it in the melodic phrasing and emotional intensity. But Abel also brought something different, a darker tone, slower pacing, and vocal ruins influenced by Ethiopian music traditions. This combination created a sound that felt familiar, but also entirely new. And because Abel lacked formal vocal training early on, he relied heavily on instinct, which ironically made the performances feel even more human. And the cracks in his voice became part of the art that we love. As The Weeknd grew bigger, his voice had to evolve with him. And you could hear that first major transition during Chris Land. Vocals suddenly become clearer, more direct, less buried under effect. It was subtle, but important. For the first time, Abel sounded more confident in the center of his mix, and he wasn't behind atmosphere anymore. And then came the real turning point in his career. Beauty behind the madness. This was the era that changed everything for Abel Tesfaye. Can't Feel My Face, The Hills, Earned It. Suddenly, The Weeknd wasn't just an underground cult artist anymore. He was becoming a global pop star, and his vocal approach adapted accordingly to this. The breathly whispers started giving way to a stronger chest voice delivery. His tone became brighter and cleaner and more controlled, and you could hear him developing real vocal precisions in this album. And according to the fans, this era represented one of the biggest leaps technically. Many people consider Beauty Behind the Madness the moment Abel fully discovered his voice, not just emotionally, but physically. The range expanded, the belts became stronger, and the transitions between chest voice and falsetto became smoother. And perhaps more importantly, he learned restraint. Mainstream pop vocals without losing his identity. Honestly, it's incredibly difficult to do that. A lot of artists these days lose their emotional texture once the technique improves, but Abel Tesfaye found a way to refine his voice while keeping his vulnerability there. By the time Starboy arrived, Abel had entered a completely different artistic phase. Everything became sharper, sleeker, more futuristic, and vocally, his performances became incredibly refined. This era introduced a new level of precision, and the rough edges from Trilogy were all gone. Instead, we got polished harmonies, tight vocal layering, and cleaner melodic control. But what's interesting is that Abel didn't just simplify his vocals, he actually became more experimental. Tracks like Starboy and Secrets introduced rhythmic vocal phrasing that felt heavily influenced by synth pop and electric music. His voice became more percussive. You also start hearing more intentional use of vocal processing, such as auto-tune textures, vocoder effects, and digitally layered harmonies. But unlike artists who use effects to hide weak vocals, Abel Tesfaye used them stylistically. The processing became part of the character. Emotionally, the era feels colder, more detached, and that's what makes it perfectly match the theme of the fame, excess, and celebrity alienation running throughout Starboy's themes. Shortly after, along came My Dear Melancholy, which briefly pulled things back emotionally. The project reintroduced vulnerability, but now with a greater technical control than Trilogy albums. The heartbreak sounds cleaner, more mature, less chaotic. It was almost like hearing an older version of the same wounded narrator from 2000. The Weeknd then entered what many fans consider his creative peak. After Hours on Dawn FM transformed Abel from a singer into a vocal storyteller. And this is where his voice stopped functioning just as an instrument and it started functioning like vocal storyteller. And listen carefully across his albums. You'll notice something fascinating. He changes vocal tones depending on an emotional perspective. Throughout these albums, sometimes he sounds vulnerable and desperate, other times robotic and anxious, and sometimes hypnotic, sometimes almost spiritually detached. The voice itself becomes part of the narrative. Blinding Lights channels bright 80s pop energy with soaring melodic control. But songs like After Hours feel suffocating and emotionally spiraling. Dawn FM pushes things even further. The vocals become more theatrical, and at times Abel sounds like a late night radio phantom drifting throughout purgatory. And technically, this may be the strongest vocal area of his career. His falsetto controls becomes incredibly precise. The transitions between registers sounds almost seamless, and the vibrato becomes more intentional. The emotional layering itself becomes deeper and deeper and deeper as we get into the album. And that's also for more character acting inside the vocals now. He's not just singing the lyrics anymore, it's becoming a psychological state. And because the albums themselves are conceptual, that's what separates this era from earlier projects such as Trilogy, Kissland and Beauty Behind the Madness. After Hours and Dawn FM manipulate emotion and they feel cinematic, almost like audio filmmaking.
It'll be fun, babe.
No, it's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be fun.
What's most impressive about The Weeknd's evolution is it that it's still happening in real time. Touring massive stadiums has forced Abel to improve stamina and consistency, and performing night after night requires extreme discipline. It requires warm-ups, breath control, hydration and technique. Over the years, you can hear how much stronger Abel's live vocals have become. Collaborations have also pushed him creatively, working across pop, electronic, hip-hop and synthwave productions force him to constantly adapt his vocal approach. And now, with hints of artistic reinvention surrounding Hurry Up Tomorrow and the possible ending of The Weeknd itself, fans are wondering what comes next. Will Abel lean into a deeper, more mature vocal tone? Will the performances become more stripped back and human? Or will he continue experimenting with cinematic and vocal storytelling? Whatever direction he chooses, one thing is clear. The evolution of his voice has always mirrored the evolution of his identity. And that's why his music resonates so deeply with the fans. All the visuals, all the mythology, you're still hearing a person searching for meaning throughout the sound. So now we want to hear from you. Which era of The Weeknd resonates with you the most? Do you prefer the raw emotion falsettos of Trilogy? Or do you prefer the polished power of Beauty Behind the Madness? Or the cinematography behind After Hours on Dawn FM? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and of course be sure to subscribe, because in episode 5 we're keeping it even further, we're keeping it even farther, we're going even more in depth. Like episode 5 is like still 2 episodes away, but we've still got a while to go. You know, let's enjoy the ride, let's keep it going. Let me know your thoughts on this episode, on the past episodes. Let's keep it going. And of course, as always, I have been your host, EXO Takeover. Read the tea. Get yours in the link in the bio. I'll see you next week for another episode of After Hours and Beyond. And yeah, keep it going. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. I love doing these. I'll see you next week for episode 4. We're nearly there now. So let's keep it going. Keep it going.